Hey, buddy, Thomas here, and today we're going to be cutting up a log for one of my buddies. Now, it may not be the prettiest log at the moment, but I guarantee you this red oak log right here will really impress you. What we're going to be doing, we're actually be cutting this up into quarter-sawn lumber. And quarter-sawn lumber, if you know anything about it, it's really pretty, especially in oak. You see the medullary rays, you see all the flecking. A lot of people would call this like almost like a tiger pattern or whatever you want to call it. You know, furniture makers of the past and present, this is what they want to work with. So what we're doing, I'm actually gonna cut away to a video when I actually cut this log in half. So this log was squared up. I say squared up, and it does have some rounded edge and everything, but it's essentially squared up to 24 by 24, a cant roughly of that size. You'll see in the video what size we're dealing with. Now all I'm gonna do, put it back here onto the Timberking 2000 mill. Now we're gonna cut it in half. And then I'll take one piece off and we'll cut, turn, cut, turn, cut, turn. We're actually gonna be true quarter saw on this, but what I wanna do is what I'm doing right now is essentially I'm gonna cut the pith out. The pith, as you all know, is the most unstable section of the wood. And we're gonna be cutting that section essentially out. That'll be it'll be a little bit of the pith on some of the boards, but you know, that's what table saws are for, cutting it down. So stay tuned. I'll break away to when we actually started this video, and then my buddy Mr. Goff is gonna be really happy that I'm finally cutting on his log. So, all right, stay tuned. Okay, so I don't know really what I'm doing because I've never used this one before, but I think I've read up enough things. I've got the blade roughly center of the log, and all I want to do is cut this log in half. That's the goal, is cut this log in half, and then we will see what we're left with, how it cuts and everything. And yeah, so I'm gonna put on a time lapse because I don't know how long it's gonna take me. I've got my wedges, got my hammer, and we'll see what she does, so stay tuned. Well, that was actually pretty cool. First cut complete. Log was cut in half. It left a decent amount of sawdust. It cut really well. The only thing I had to do is the bar that's behind the chainsaw bar itself, that dipped down when I first went into the log, so I had to stop it, lift it up, make sure it's seated in there correctly, and then went forward. Other than that, I mean, it cut really well. I don't see any tracking that occurred. I only wedged it here towards the end because the log stayed open pretty much the whole way. And there at the very end, it kind of pinched me just a little bit, so I had to wedge it just a little bit more. But again, not bad for a first cut. I've split this giant oak in half. It didn't take but just a few minutes to make that cut, so I was pretty happy. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting. Now this cut right here, again, I've lined up the pith on the back section. It's going to be a little bit low here on the front section, but that's all right. Again, there will be some boards that the pith will have to be cut out by my buddy. But we're going to show you the importance of a deep, like a throat cut of 16 inches. So as you can see, I'm roughly 12 inches into it, and I got a couple inches to spare. And I'm hoping that this log will not move. Sometimes you'll get a board or a cant that will bow up on you. I don't think it will, since this is red oak at this size. We'll cut through here and we'll see what it looks like. I think it's gonna be very pretty, and then we'll take one half off and then start our quarter sawing process. riding the water a little bit heavy on that one on accident, but the very important thing you gotta do, since I am going to be taking off this top cant, no matter what you are doing when it's taking things on and off, always make sure that you put your log stops up. So you see how my log stops all the way up. By having those all the way up, I do not run the risk of knocking that cant section, that, you know, couple 100-pound cant section off onto my energy chain. So it's always a good safety to put those up anytime you're loading or offloading wood on the sawmill. Now, I've done it before. On my 1400 mill, I've rolled a log off the back side. On this mill, you know, knock on wood, I have not rolled anything off the back side of any size. I have had boards while you're cutting jump off of the mill. You know, sometimes they'll have pressure in them, stuff like that. But yeah, whatever. So again, as you can see, I entered into the pith on that side, and then I shot a little bit low of the pith on this side. That's fine. I can take, probably I'll take that section out whenever I recut that other piece over there. We'll see. So now what I'm gonna do, and when I say quarter sawn, this is another thing I was gonna show you. So you can see all these medullary rays that are popping up, all this stuff right here. These are called medullary rays, or what people call flecking. In oak, when you quarter saw it, you see a lot of that. And that's the end goal. We wanna make sure that the end product, because this is what the customer's asking for, is quarter sawn lumber. Also, you'll look at your end grain. Now this is a pretty good, so a board cut right there. You can see this will be stair-stepped on the grain right here. That will be a quarter sawn piece. A board cut right here will be a quarter sawn. But then I had to kind of rotate each time because the grains, you know, it's like a sun ray. They go out from the central point. So there will be some rift sawn boards in here, but my goal is to get as many quarter sawn boards out of this as possible, and we'll go from there. All right, let me grab this off real quick. I'll put on a time lapse, and you can see this whole process kind of taking place. As you can see, the pile that comes off of this after you cut this is a varying length, or width I should say, excuse me. These boards right here, those are ones I was turning it back and forth, and I did have some of the wane and some of the live edge on everything. Those boards were getting smaller and smaller. I want to make sure I had a good platform to work off of. So the last little bit, I kept it at 6, I believe, 1/4 inches wide, and just rolled with it. And there are a few rift sawn boards in there, but the majority of this is essentially quarter sawn. I mean, if you look down this, I mean, just check out how many of the medullary rays are popping up out of this wood. It's pretty intense. And once I get this out into the sun, you'll really be amazed at what this looks like. But the sun's still not over the trees yet. But yeah, it's pretty stuff. I think Mr. Goff, you're gonna be pretty happy with this. I mean, just look at that. That's beautiful. And nice straight grain. And there's a little bit of spalt going to this, not a whole lot, but it'll give it some character to the wood. So, out of that 1/4, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 boards. And I would say of those 11 boards, 6 of them are probably what we call quarter sawn, and the other ones, there's some rift sawns, and then these, I think the outer boards there would be a little bit of plain sawn, but for the most part, every bit of this is gonna have straight grain. You should not see any cathedral like peaks going on. This is gorgeous. Even this stuff right here, this is a rift sawn board. Still, you're still seeing all that flecking in there. So I'll go ahead and cut the next one, I believe real time, so you can see that, and we'll go from there. All right, folks, for the purposes of this video, I just want to show what I did is I trimmed the log up a little bit just to show you a better idea of what we're talking about when we talk about quarter sawn. So my next cut right now is going to be right here. Now, this section of the board right here, that would be a quarter sawn piece of wood right there, because the grain is going to stair step up. Right here, close to the pith, because my pith is actually was coming through about like right here. It's going to be a little bit off. That's fine, because we're going to cut this, and then the customer this is going to will cut away that section. He'll have a nice, beautiful board right there. After this cut, I will then turn the log 90 degrees and cut this section right here. So this section right here, again, is a quarter sawn piece, because we're looking at one of the quarters of the log. So we'll be cutting here, we'll be cutting here, back and forth. Now, I'm only gonna get a couple quarter sawn true pieces, but the customer wants to make sure we maintain at least a 6-inch wide board. So in order to do that, probably in this direction, this direction right here, just look at the grain and everything. Once I'm at 6 3/4 inches down, which would probably be about right here, so I might get 2 cuts on this side, then I'll leave this section right here the way it is and continue cutting this out. But I'm going to be cutting on this side, then I'll be cutting on this side, then I'll cut to this side again. That should get to me to 6 3/4. Then we will turn this side up and slab the rest of the boardage down. We will have some rift sawn boards in this region right here, but I want to make sure we maximize. Rift sawn is still good for what we're wanting to accomplish out of this, but there will be a number of quarter sawn pieces out of this, as well as some rift sawn pieces. That is the goal. Now I'm hoping that I have enough battery to make this, storage space to let this go. I have recorded 4 videos today, a lot of talking, had to reshoot a few things, so bear with me. We're gonna cut this open, got the water going, turn the saw on, the blade should be sharp, so stand by. this is not the end-all be-all way to quarter saw. This is just a method that I use, and I hope this may have been informational to some folks out there. But as you can see, yeah, you can see on here, this is a quarter sawn board, that is a quarter sawn board, that is a quarter sawn. You have some riffness going on in here. I would probably call that one a quarter sawn board, and then you really definitely get riffed up here. And yeah, these top three will say a rift sawn, but these ones down here are essentially quarter sawn. And let's see, a good indication is medullary rays, which we are getting a lot of in here. This one's got a whole lot right here. I don't have a good way to show this. Other than just a little bit of water, so bear with me. Just went to my water tank over there and got some water. But you do have flecking that is going on in here, so you can see some of it throughout here, like all up in here, this area right here. Very beautiful straight grain. That is essentially indicative, and you can see the end grain down here too. This is just like a ladder. Every one of these is stair stepped up. So very, very beautiful straight grain, furniture quality wood right here. In fact, I don't see any blemishes. At the very end, there's a knot section, but this is a very, very beautiful log. This is the last of the quarters of it. I got all 4 quarters cut. So, hope you found that interesting. Again, not the end-all be-all way. One way to show the use of a slabber mill and a bandsaw mill in unison working together. So on really, really big logs, I will cut them in half using the slabber mill, then I'll throw them on the Timberking 2000, cut them in half again, get the 4 quarters out, and then quarter saw them up for the customer. Please like, subscribe. If you want to see more videos like this, informational type stuff, let me know. Comment below. But pleasure, y'all. We'll see you around. Thanks.